I just want to swing back and touch on a subject that we have dealt with a fair bit, and that is winged deities. Now, we've talked about winged deities in terms of the Buddhist Garuda and in terms of the Bon Kyung, not to confuse the two completely different origin myths, two different functions. But leaving aside the Garuda and the Kyung and only looking at the deities that we find both in Buddhism, Vajrayana Buddhism, and in the Bon religion, and looking at those, it really is not an art. It's not an art history exercise. It really is. It's a text exercise. It's really a question of to come to the right answers and conclusions about winged deities. We need to be looking at the text a lot more, and we need to be looking at the very earliest texts. So the point here is winged deities chronological list. Because it just seemed a little confusing to have deities just all over the place, Nyingma, Sarma, Bun, and they have wings, but you don't know what's earlier, what's later. So we've laid it out now a little bit differently, where we're talking about it from the point of early deities, middle period deities, and late period deities. Now, all of these periods are generally within a close range of each other. We're looking at really the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th century, really. So for the very earliest deities we have, where they are described as having wings, the earliest that we know of is the deity Vajrakila. And it's not the general Nyingma Vajrakila. It's the specific Vajrakila that comes through the Khon lineage, coming down through Padmasambhava and Kunlui Sungwa. And this is the main Kama, or oral tradition, textual lineage coming from Padmasambhava of the Vajrakila. And it even predates the Kagye, the 8 pronouncement deities. So the Vajrakila of the Khon lineage is the first that we know of that has wings. Secondly, we have what's called the Panjara Mahakala with the peg lower torso. And this is a one-faced tour Mahakala with a 3-bladed peg or nail for the lower body. And this also comes from Padmasambhava, and it comes down again through Kunlui Sungwa and the Khon family. And the Khon family is most often referred to today as the Sakya family, the Sakya Trizins, the leaders of the Sakya school of Tibetan Buddhism. So these are the two oldest that we know of, is the Vajrakila and then the peg lower torso Mahakala. Then we have a Hayagriva with wings that comes from Atisha. And but this is very unusual in that what I find with a lot of Atisha lineages is the lineage doesn't go back very far. It goes Atisha, then it goes Avalokiteshvara. It goes Atisha, then to Tara. And so we really don't see very much history with this unless we can find some kind of a commentary that was written in the past that explains some of this. Next we have the raven-faced, or the black bird Mahakala, the Kakamukha Mahakala, out of the one-faced four-armed Mahakala mandala. And this is coming through Mondrub Sherab. Mondrub Sherab is very important because he's also responsible for bringing one of the systems of 84 Mahasiddhas, the Abhayakaragupta, or the Abhayadatta system, into Tibet. Then we have Chakrasamvara that comes down through Indrabhuti, and it's a Chakrasamvara with wings, and it's also related to several forms of Vajrayogini practice coming from Indrabhuti. Now here we don't know which Indrabhuti it is, the early Indrabhuti, the middle, or the late Indrabhuti. And maybe there's even more than 3 King Indrabhutis. So right now we're still really in the 11th century with all of these. And then we have Hayagriva Padma Ishvara. And this is also very similar to the one I believe that's done at Sera Monastery in just outside of Lhasa. Now this one comes down through Nyen Lotsawa. So again, we're looking at 11th century, granted late 11th century. Aside from the Khon, Vajrakila, and the Mahakala with the lower peg torso, all of these others we can date clearly to the 11th century. Okay, then we get into the middle period. And it also, I'm separating it out as middle period because we don't know. What we can say is it's possible that these Bun deities that have wings actually come out of the early revealed treasure traditions of Shenchen Luga. Shenchen Luga was, I think, 996 to 1035. So that's very early. Of course, it would predate the Sarma. It would predate the main translators for the Sarma traditions of deities with wings that we mentioned above, except for the Vajrakila and the Peg Mahakala. So then we have the late deities with wings, and what they are is primarily their Nyingma revealed treasure teachings and figures that are post Nyangral Nyima Ozer. So that's very late 12th century. So that's it. So we have early, we have middle, and late, and it's really a matter of going and looking at the earliest texts that can be found to really see if the wings are actually described, or if the wings came along later, which is very possible with some cases of these winged deities. So we'll leave it there. You can subscribe, you can like, you can join HAR on Patreon, and you can make a donation on the homepage of Himalayan Art Resources.